Hello and welcome to this next Substance Painter tutorial. In this tutorial we're largely going to be working in Affinity, but any 2D program will do you. So what do we want to do? Well, we want to create a decal. So I have a brush here set up with a colour image, and you can see it goes on there nicely, but if you rotate around, I've got it on this metal kind of plane here. You'll see it basically takes on the properties of everything below it. You can sort of adjust these down here, but you know, you'd like a bit more control. So what I'm going to do, excuse me, is in Affinity we're going to go through a little bit of a process of sorting this out. Whoops, I keep rotating it, I don't mean to. There we go. So first of all, I'm going to make the brush alpha. Now, for this one, it's not all that important. It's a circle. But if you've made, an image and it's a square, or it's a special shape, then you'll definitely want to make an alpha. And this is just one way of doing it. So I've got my image on a PNG, so I've got a transparent background. And all I really need to do on this one is create a new layer. So let's add a layer, and then on our original layer I'll select, with the magic wand, the transparent part of the image, and then go back to my new pixel layer, and then we'll fill that in. So let's fill that in, and we want to fill it in black, which we've got, and there we go. Then I want to switch to white, and then I'm going to invert my selection and then fill the top in white. So that's basically given me the exact shape. As I said, this is a circle, but if yours is a square or a triangle or a hexagon or whatever it needs to be, you need the alpha, because otherwise your brush will come in a bit strange. So that's the alpha. What we really need now then is to be able to manipulate our other layers. So we've got our height, we've got our metallic, and we've got our roughness. And basically we just need to make some copies of this and adjust it. So for this one I'm going to right click and duplicate my alpha layer, which I'm just going to label before I forget. There we go. And we'll make our roughness map. There we go. So basically within this white area, although it doesn't really matter because we've got an alpha and it's going to cut anything outside, we can put some texture. So for roughness, if it's white it's mega rough, if it's black it's mega shiny. I'd probably want it somewhere towards rough, so we're going to go somewhere around a grey. So if I pick my brush or my colour now, let's take that down to, I don't want it too close to middle, I want it somewhere between the middle and between the max. There we go. So now we've got like a mid-ish grey. So what am I going to do with that? Well, we're going to get a brush out and just pop some texture into it. So let's see what I've got in the way of brushes. I've got dry here. This is probably going to give me something nice. And let's try this one. So you'll forgive me if I'm a bit wobbly today, because I've got a new tablet which I'm just getting used to. So where's my brush size here? Let's bring that right up. There we go. Even higher than that, I think. Right, so if I just pop some strokes in there, just give it an all over kind of roughness, make sure I haven't got any real empty bits, but don't go too mad. There we go. So it's not completely rough, but it's not completely shiny either. It's towards the rough end, but there'll be some variation in it. Okay, so what else have we got? So we want our metallic map. So I want this to be non-metallic. So I'm going to duplicate this layer, and it can stay as it is because it's already non-metallic. So we'll call that one metal. Let's hide the top one, and that should just be a white circle. Yep. Again, if you're using a different shape, you know what I'm saying. So on and so forth. So height then. Height I want to work a little bit differently on. I want to take this image down here and duplicate it, and for this one let me just go to select, deselect rather. Whoops, there we go, select, deselect. I'm going to unhide these ones here, so I've got this one. This I just want to turn black and white essentially, so let's see what we can do with that one. So I want an adjustment layer, and we want hue, saturation, and then I want it to take the luminance out. No, take the saturation out. That's what I want to do. I'll take a bit of the luminance as well. There we go. Somewhere, yeah, somewhere towards the light end, I think, because the very light, the white will come outwards. The grey, which will be above mid grey, will come outwards, but not as much. And now we're going to add the black to it. So let's just select our outside, go find our colour, and flood fill that with black. There we go. So now I've got a height as well. So let's select this one and call it height. So now in theory I've got all my layers together, ready to create my decal brush. And when we come back in the next part, we'll export these out and, you know, go on from there. So I'll talk to you then. Okay, so once you've got all your layers together, in Affinity at least, there is an export persona that's up here on the left. If you click on that, it will simplify and just give you your export options. Now you can see all my layers down here, and they've got these little links by them. That's just saying that I've exported them because I tested things first. But basically what you need to do is select your layers and then create slices. I think you have to do them one at a time, and that will enable them to be exported separately. And once you've done that, you go to the slices tab here, and then this is my original, which I don't want to export, so I've unticked that, and I've just got all of my slices now selected. I don't need to select them, but they're all ticked here, that's the point. And then you can hit export. You pick your directory and click export, and if we're going to have a look at that, we've got all of our layers in here now. So just a really quick way of doing it. You don't have to do all sorts of crazy things to get those out. Okay, so once you've got them out, we can set up our decal in Painter. So let's pop into Painter, and now I'm going to drag and drop everything in except my colour because I've already got it in there. So I've got my alpha, my height, my metal, and my rough. Just going to drag and drop those into our library. The alpha needs to be unsurprisingly an alpha, and then everything else is a texture. There we go, and I'm going to import them to my permanent library and click import, and that should filter everything out for me. And now it's a question of hooking up the channels. So I'm going to delete that and start again. There we go. So we've got the base color in, the alpha, so we need to pop that in the alpha channel, which is up here. So if I pop that in there, and then back down to the material layers, and I've got my height, and my roughness is next, and metal. There we go. And yeah, I've turned off normal because I don't want it essentially. And now when I click in, we should get something quite different. So I've got my sign. It's not the best sign in the world, but you know, it's picking up all of the different material settings that our Decal has got. So you can imagine that, you know, you can do quite a lot with this. And I might do a kind of quick example of doing it with an image, but that's the basic kind of workflow. Obviously you could do a better job than I have. I'm sure you would do, but I just wanted to demonstrate, you know, now, you know, whenever I'm looking at it, it's not glaring out, it's not picking up the background, it's, you know, it's just what it is. Okay, so that's the basic process. And now if I right click here and create a tool preset, you'll see I've got a new tool over here. And say if I switch my brush to something else, come on, switch to brush, it's already in brush. There we go. If I switch my brush to something and clear my material, or clear all my settings rather, let's get rid of all these. Oops, one more, there we go. I should be able to now go and find that new tool. It's called new tool for some reason, and click on it and get it all back again. So now I can use it over and over again. The fact that it's called new tool bothers me, so yeah, we can rename it, and I can put this stop Decal, something along those lines anyway. There we go, and close that out. Yep, and there it is. I probably want to make a you know, a tool icon for it, but you know, I'll do that at another time essentially. Okay, so yeah, I'll do a quick one next where I'll find an image and do exactly the same to get, you know, a different result. So I'll talk to you then. Okay, so I've got a sign here, and what we'll do is create our alpha first. So once again, I'll create a new layer, and then on our original layer I'll select the unpainted and then go back to the new pixel layer and fill it in black. There we go. And then if I switch that over to white and invert my selection, we've got our alpha. Okay, so using an image is probably going to be slightly more different to, you know, the other ones. So what I'm going to do is duplicate this one, and then I'm going to take all of the colour out. So if I go to adjustments and HSL, I can take the saturation out. Come on, saturation, there we go. And let's mess with the darkness a little bit. Okay, so I want this to be something of a height map. So I'm going to bring it out, but I don't really want this middle bit to be white, because that kind of spoils it. It will extrude it on its own. So let me merge that down, and I'm going to use a clone, I think. Is it? No, that's not the clone, that's the paintbrush. Where's the cloner? There it is. And then we'll, whoops, once I find my pen, there it is, increase our brush size a little bit. There we go, somewhere around there perhaps. Right, I need to alt click to get my clone source, so we'll try there, and then I'll just start painting this in. That's too small for me to start with, so let's go up a little higher. Now this won't strictly match the image underneath it, but you know, I want the thing to be flat. I don't want it to be yeah, all over the place. So we'll on alt click, and then I can carry on my own merry way. There we go. So that's got rid of all of that stuff. There's a little white bit down there. I know these points up here are quite dark, they should work well, and yeah, I'm a little bit bothered about that little white thing, so I'm going to take my brush down a little bit and just paint that out. I won't change my source for that one, so Alt click, that's closer. Okay, so that's our height, so let's label that. Well, actually I need to give it a new name really. This is a stop sign, so stop height. This one will be stop color. I'm going to duplicate this one for our metallic, so let's duplicate that. So right click and duplicate. This will be well, actually rough and metallic, so let's do rough first and then duplicate again for metallic. So I want this to be more metallic than our previous one, so once again I can add an adjustment layer, and we'll try brightness and contrast, and I want it to go darker, so I want it to be closer to metal than our previous one. And oops, let's change the contrast. Do I want the contrast higher? Yeah, I think I do. I want some variation. There we go. So let's merge that one in, and then on our roughness layer, let's hide that one just for now. Yeah, it's quite rough. So let's add an adjustment layer. We'll make it darker, but not as dark as the metal, I think. Don't want it to be too shiny, but also don't want it to be completely uniform. And of course you could paint some differences into this and do whatever you like. So right, okay, let's merge that one down. So we've got all of our things. This is our stop alpha. Alpha metallic rough color. Yes, there we go. So we switch over to our export persona, and under layers I need to create slices for each of these. Don't know if I can do more than one at a time, can I? Yes, I can. Excellent. And then up here we have some options. So I want all of these to be JPEGs, for example. So I can right click there or left click there, and I'll go JPEG best quality, and it will set that for each of them, which is perfect. And now when I export, we need to go to slices. Need to have my top one unselected because that's my original, and then export those slices out. I'm going to put them into the same folder as I did before. There we go, and then back to Substance Painter. Whoops, that's not Substance, that's my video editor. And I'll clear this and create a new one, and then we'll replace all these out. So first of all I need to import these in. So that's those ones. So I shall drag and drop those onto my library there. Select all of these, whoops, set them to texture, except the alpha, which I'll set to an alpha. Oh no, it's going to put them all to an alpha now. There we go. Texture, import them to my library and import. Just going to have a think about it. There we go. Now it's handily filtered everything for me, and now I can put my new alpha in, and then go down to the material settings, base color, height, metallic, and roughness. and there we have our new stop sign. Something seems to be wrong. I think my alpha is wrong. Let's go back to our layers. No, it's right. It's not got a white border. I was expecting there to be a white border. I don't know why I was expecting that. No, I'm sorry. I was looking at the original image. No, there isn't a white border. Sorry, I'm British. That's how ours are. So there we go. We have our stop sign with our different layers, our different properties, and a bit of detail, and it stands out from the back. What I've stamped it onto. Wouldn't really matter what you stamped it onto. If I go and change this to something a little bit less interesting, so like a concrete, and let's change this one out to a different kind of concrete. There we go. Seem to have managed to stamp one of the old ones up there, so let's delete that out. Let's just paint that out. Whoops. Let's paint that out there. There we go. So yeah, that's decals essentially. Not the most exciting of examples, but that's how you use them. And I hope you found that useful. If you have any questions for me, let me know in the comments. I'll talk to you again.